positive things in the community. Thanks all for being here. For those who, I see a lot of familiar names here. For those who are new, what this is Microsoft Reno every year provides $25,000 total to eligible nonprofits in the community in Northern Nevada, Washoe County, or the surrounding communities to further the IT infrastructure and impact that nonprofits can make in the region. Sometimes the funds are split up. Sometimes it's all to one. It kind of depends on the year and the applications. But yeah, this is year 17 of doing it. So we're excited for everyone to be here. We're going to play a quick video just to give an overview of IT Makeover and what it is.
This year, Microsoft Reno is providing local nonprofit organizations with the opportunity to receive funds for technology enhancements through the 17th annual IT Makeover campaign. Microsoft Reno will provide $25,000 in eligible community funding, which will be awarded to nonprofit recipients selected from an application pool throughout Northern Nevada. Over the past 16 years, a total of $355,000 has been awarded to more than 45 local nonprofit recipients through the IT Makeover campaign. Nonprofits located in Washoe and or surrounding rural counties are eligible and selected by a committee based on an application describing the organization's needs, mission, objectives, and how the IT Makeover funds will be utilized to better serve the community. The online application deadline is Friday, April 11th. How can the IT Makeover campaign transform your organization? Apply today.
We'll share the information out. David kind of touched on this. Everyone, if you haven't seen it yet, there's an application online that'll ask you some questions about what does your organization do, what's involved. You can find all that on the website here, aka.ms/itmakeover, and how the funds will impact your ability to impact the community. We have a group of people within the Reno Operations Center. I won't just read all the names, but here are all the folks involved this year. Every year we have bring on some new team members, a few transition out. So we have a large group this year, which will be great. We have a lot of good input for judging and reading the applications. Last year, just want to go over the 4 winners that we had were Bristlecone Family Resources, the Eddie House, Friends in Service Helping, Fish, United Way of Northern Nevada and the Sierra. Just because you've won in the past, also just to donate or to denote that does not disqualify you from winning and receiving funds again in the future. So just to keep that in mind, to keep applying even if you have won. We've done 40 nonprofits over the years. Too many to list on this slide, but this is a good chunk of the 40 nonprofits we've hit over the last 16 years in Northern Nevada. Requirements, kind of just go over requirements and timeline. Have to be a 501c3. Northern Nevada regions, Washoe County or any of the surrounding counties. You have to impact the community or resources in the region. That's the kind of the whole point of the campaign. And then your application, you can very clearly articulated the need or vision of how the IT Makeover funds will impact your goal or impact your charitable goals that you have within your organization. So getting this money will allow us to do new servers, not allow XYZ, which will increase our reach by 200% or increase our membership by X percentage. So that's at least one of the criteria is what is the impact and benefit going to be from getting these funds? Timeline. So today is our Q&A. Applications are due April 11th. That is a hard deadline. The internal team here will review mid-May, and then winners we'll find out into May, and then we'll do a media day check presentation in June with some of the folks from the committee here, and we'll come to your organization with a big check and do a presentation of funds. All right, I blew through those slides pretty quick. David, did I miss anything? I wanted to make sure we left a lot of time for Q&A here.
Just quick kind of background and history of the IT Makeover campaign. So as Matt mentioned, we have given funds to more than 45 plus nonprofits throughout the history of this campaign. And we've had multiple winners of the IT Makeover campaign. Just, in the past couple of years, we've had folks that have won it previously, like say 4 or 5 years ago, and then they won the campaign again pretty recently. In the history of it, I think the number is now over $355,000 has been given out through this campaign. And the results are pretty impactful of what it does to some of these nonprofits. I know as a nonprofit, I have a nonprofit background. The last thing that you all think about in terms of budgeting and planning, et cetera, is planning for IT resources, IT help, IT improvements. So this is that program to hopefully kind of get you over the top a little bit and giving you the latest and greatest in IT improvements. Think in terms of the latest in Microsoft 365 subscriptions that will get you all the apps that you need to help with your nonprofit. That also includes some AI capabilities like Copilot, and then in terms of just actual hardware devices, laptops, printers, AV equipment. So all those types of things can be included in your request. And then as Matt mentioned, we really look for, as a committee, really impactful stories like tie the impact in your application. There's some questions in there that we really ask you specifically, like exactly what do you need? What's the estimate that you think these items or the scope of this project is going to be? And how is this, if we provide X, Y, and Z, how is this going to impact your nonprofit? And in turn, how is it going to impact the greater community? And that honestly is what I look for when I read and review all of these applications each and every year. It's kind of that impact story of, hey, if we do this, it's going to help this nonprofit do this. And then in turn, it's going to help X amount of people in the community and provide, better services, better quality, et cetera, et cetera. So think of in terms of impact when you're doing the applications and submitting them. And all of our committee members do an excellent job of reviewing them all, because I can tell you when it comes to time to review them, we sit in a room and we literally hash it out for a couple hours after we've reviewed and shared kind of our top 5 or our top 6 or whatever. But we really hash it out and go to bat for some of these nonprofits that we think should be awarded the funds. So it's a pretty I would say very thorough review process each and every year by our team, and we give everybody a fair shake in this thing, and we think critically as far as why should we help X nonprofit and so on and so forth. So just ask any questions now. We're going to come open it up completely now to any Q&A that you might have, and then if you joined us a little late, please drop your name and what organization you're in the chat. We just want to let us know who's on the call today with us. So I see, let's see, there's a couple questions here in the chat. So I'll start with, I see Dawn, I think, is the first one, and I may have already answered this, Dawn. So Dawn, we've funded programs and projects all across the board. We've done everything from a nonprofit that wants pure laptops. We've done some complete overhauls that I think of the past, where folks have had server rooms where they wanted to put everything on the cloud, and we can provide that. And there's more information on what Microsoft provides as far as moving everything to the cloud, and that's part of that Microsoft nonprofit program. So anything from, you can think of basic office equipment and hardware to software. We've changed the program a little bit over the years, where we wouldn't allow such things as some of the marketing stuff like websites, but now that we're basically providing you the funds, if website and some of those capabilities are what you need, then that is included. So if you need an addition or some improvements to your website, the funding, if you applied for that, could get granted now through that. Before, we had an IT firm that would actually go in and implement these things. Now we kind of switched it more to just a grant where we're just providing funds rather than actually going in and implementing the things. So again, we're going to cut you a check, but it's on you to make sure that you're going to use a IT provider that's going to implement these things for you. Okay, there was another question on here. On average, how many applications do you receive annually? So I would say an approximation every year is between 40 to 55 applications. Is kind of a rough estimate of how many we receive every year, and all very good ones, to be honest with you. So between 40 and 50 nonprofits apply every year. I think. How many Matt, do you think we received last year? Over 40?
Yeah, I think last year was 44.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Don asked another question about is this only for Microsoft products? No, it's not. If your organization tends to use other software programs, this is not like obviously we'd prefer to use Microsoft products and services, but if there's other capabilities out there that you guys prefer, it's open. We're gonna provide you with what you need, and on your judgment of what best technology that can help your nonprofit.
Amanda, I think that kind of goes into your question too. Best way to estimate cost, right? So not only Microsoft products, asking, if tech isn't your thing, ask ChatGPT or ask Microsoft Copilot. Hey, here's what I want to do with my organization. What are some of the things I would need, and what are the costs of those things? And they'll help spit out a great answer in estimating some of those things.
Feel free to come off mute too if you guys have any questions. Don't want to put them in the chat. Any others that we missed over here? Don, you mentioned hardware like video cameras. Absolutely. We've had groups that last year, United Way of Northern Nevada and the Sierra, they actually revamped one of their larger conference rooms to make it a kind of a larger community space, incorporating Microsoft's Teams and the screens in the rooms with projectors and such. So absolutely, AV equipment can be included in your application. Any other questions? Now's the time. Anything at all that you guys would like to ask? As I mentioned before, I will. You're probably all on the email list that I've been providing the updates. Within probably the next week or so, I'll provide the links to the Microsoft nonprofit program, which as a 501c3, you all are eligible. It's about 4 short steps to register and get, if you're not already part of this program. And once you receive access, you can start receiving, if you're paying for Microsoft 365, you're going to be pretty upset because you could have been getting it free this whole time. So now you know, but the good thing is once you get in this program, you get up to 11 free subscriptions a year if you're a smaller nonprofit. And then you get access, like I mentioned, to some of those other tools and resources that Microsoft can provide. And then in addition to that, if you guys going forward, if you ever need to order hardware, all of the partners that we have, HP, Lenovo, Dell, etc., you can get discounted hardware through this program. And I'm talking between like 40, 60% off on laptops that you would need for your organization and such. So it's an amazing resource. Every nonprofit that I partner with here in the community, I make sure that's the first thing out of my mouth usually is, hey, are you using the Microsoft nonprofit program for your organization? Because if not, you're losing out on thousands of dollars that you're spending. So if you are, I'm going to drop my email in here. And if you are not receiving the reminders from me, please email me your contact information and I'm going to add you to our nonprofit list and you'll start getting all of the updates and reminders and such. So there's my email in the chat.
And I'll just reiterate on what David said there of make sure you review what's included in the Microsoft nonprofit program, because every year we get applications requesting things that are included in the program that you can just get for free just by being a nonprofit. So make sure to review that and see see what's offered and take advantage of it.
Michelle asked a pretty good question on here. Absolutely, Michelle. So just you're gonna kind of make an approximation of what this project is going to cost, and you can include, if you do not have somebody on staff that does your IT, if you're a really small nonprofit, which, and I know most of the nonprofits don't have somebody on staff that, you know, you guys will usually call a vendor to come in and help with some of those things. You know, definitely include that in there in your kind of in your budget for the project, and that would be, you know, the approximate total of what your RT project's going to cost, and then put that in your estimate for sure. Okay, so good question here from the Asian Community Development Council. Thanks for joining us. So this, you do not have to submit your 501c3 letter in there, but here's how we verify it. So Microsoft, whenever I submit for a nonprofit donation, there's a tax verification process that I have to submit. So I would actually submit your 501c3 number, your organization name, address, the contact, all of this stuff in a system that Microsoft has, and I hit submit it. And then we actually have a system on the back end that checks for nonprofit status and verification. So if there's something not exactly right, or you're don't have official 501c3 status, they won't approve it, and they'll let me know that, hey, you cannot provide funding to that organization because their 501c3 status is not legit, based on the verification process and the system that they use. So that's how we make sure that everybody, obviously, that's part of this, is a guaranteed 100% 501c3 organization, if that answers your question. Is there any other questions?
So
Yes.
may I ask how, yeah, this is from the Asian Community Development Council again. So I just want to make sure during the application, there will be one section is asking to enter the 501c3 number, right?
Let me double check on that. Matt, do you remember if there is a field on there? Let me see. I can pull it up. Let me answer this question here. Yeah, so here's what happens actually. So we ask all of the information on the application. So organization name, physical address, website, contacts, names, et cetera, et cetera. So once we get a kind of a final 5 or 6 that we're determining, I reach out to the contact, and then I get their 501c3 number from them if they are one of our finalists. And then when I go to submit the verification process, I enter the 501c3 number in there, and then that'll kick it off. So if you are one of the finalists, I will be reaching out to you and say, hey, I need a little bit more information, and that's a good sign, right? If you're one of those, but obviously make sure that you have all your ducks in a row on your 501c3 status before we get to that point. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it's clear now. Thank you.
Yep.
I have a question. Sorry.
Yeah, we are
This is
recording this. I
Kara.
was going to say, yeah. Go ahead, Kara.
Okay, awesome. This is Kara with Soulful Seeds. I was just wondering if there is anything that is typically not approved for funding that you guys don't like to see on applications, things to avoid.
Matt, you want to answer that, and then I'll take a stab? I lost Matt there for a second. my best advice for this is to be completely realistic with your project. The applications that we get where we can tell that people actually did their homework and and their scope is like on point, like, they need 6 laptops and Microsoft 365, and it's really kind of fleshed out. And they're not being like, and the amount of money actually makes sense and matches what they need. Those are the projects that with me, I can tell that they've done their homework and it's realistic. They're not asking, if they're asking for 4 laptops and then they're asking us for $25,000, guess what? And then honestly, every year we get those applications. Every single year we'll get someone that the request doesn't match the funding amount whatsoever, and obviously those get thrown out the window very quickly. Last year we funded 4 nonprofits, so think about that too, right? If you're asking for $20,000, unless it's an amazing, an amazing story, it's been rare where we've just given all of the funds to one org in this project and in this campaign. Usually we try to do a pretty good job of spreading it out and doing the best job to help in as many organizations, but trying to have a lot of impact with that said as well.
Awesome. Thank you, David.
Yep. That was a good question. Any others questions? Again, if you haven't been getting emails from me and want to make sure that you're on our email nonprofit list, please email me. I put my email address up there in the chat. Please just shoot me an email and I'll make sure that you're on there. And then again, just some housekeeping. On the very beginning of this chat, I put in the link to the IT Makeover website that has all the information that we just went over. It has the link to the application. It has a link to the promo video that you just watched. So everything that you need for this campaign is on this webpage. And then of course I put a link to the promo video that you all just watched as well. So that's all your resources. If you haven't visited the application, it is a Microsoft Forms survey tool, so it's pretty quick and easy to fill out the information. There are some longer written answers that we're requesting, so don't think this can take 5 minutes and get this done. It takes a little bit of time to get it done, not too much, because I don't want to waste folks' time in the nonprofit world. I know what good work you all do and how busy you all are. So we try to streamline this as much as possible. Let's see if there's any other questions.
I got stuck coming off mute there. Apologies. Back to the question on things we don't like to see, or I think I take that as the things I like to see is realistic impact. I know David talked about unrealistic scope or unrealistic budget and how that plays into it, but also impact. Like, is one new computer is going to enable efficiencies of 5,000%. Right. This isn't the Terminator. So like really thinking about what you're asking for and what the actual impact is going to be on your organization and the community is a big one for me. And I know a lot of the other readers of these applications.
Thank you.
And then one other comment in terms of the timeline, as Matt mentioned, probably about the third week in May, if you'll start hearing some results, and there will be emails that go out to everybody once we've kind of determined the finalist. Everybody will be notified from our nonprofit list, and if you are a finalist, you'll be notified from me, be contacted, and I'll start the verification process, as I mentioned earlier, with the point of contact that's placed on the application, and then it's pretty quick, right? We get the verification completed. We start doing the financial things on the back end and start working on getting checks cut. And then in June we do a nice kind of media a media announcement where we do the large check presentations. You normally will come to your nonprofit. We select a day that works for everybody, and we do invite the media to come out. We usually get very good media coverage on this, and it's a kind of a good thing for you all too, to get your nonprofit out there a little bit with some more awareness, with the announcement of the winners. Usually happens in June, but all this will be communicated, and I'll work with every single one of you that is one of our grantees this year on this information, and kind of walk you through it all. So we've been doing this for a while, so we have this program very much streamlined and dialed in for sure. So, all right. Well, I guess any other questions, comments?
If you think of anything after the call, please don't hesitate to reach out to either of us.
Absolutely. We received a lot of questions prior to this call from email, both Matt and myself. So don't hesitate, reach out. We'll get right back to you and let you know. And then honestly, the deadline is a hard deadline. So there's been years where there's been issues, but we kind of have to cut it off at some point. So please make sure to be wise and get it in before the deadline. And so then we'll start our work on reviewing all of the applicants. So appreciate all of you joining the call and taking the time. We will record it. We did record it, and then we'll send it out to the folks if they want to review anything. So appreciate you all. Thanks for everything that you do in the community as well. Thanks, team, for joining.
Thank you.
Everyone, good luck with the applications. We're looking forward to reading them.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for the meeting.